Hello. Hello.
Good morning, family. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to our musical meditation. I encourage you to continue to breathe, meditate, contemplate, be in prayer, and just giving thanks for today as we celebrate Father's Day on the heels of our Juneteenth celebrations. And just another day in general to give thanks. I hope all can hear me well. This morning's meditation will just be inspired just by love and the presence of community, of grace, understanding, the fatherhood energy in our community. Just feeling love. So we'll stay in that meditative space and we'll start our service shortly. Welcome, 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 welcome to another Sunday here at Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. Thank you for joining us in this space this morning. Thank you for joining us for meditation, those who have joined us. And for our opening song today, in honor of our celebrations of Juneteenth across the Bay Area and across the world, across the nation, a national holiday that we've been celebrating since 1866, commemorating that day in 1865, June 19th, when the previously enslaved citizens of Galveston, Texas got the notification, got the word. The word came down that day. They were emancipated 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. So I'm going to play the instrumental version of our Black National Anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing. Feel free to turn on your cameras and smile at someone. Sing along to yourselves at home for those that know the words. I say. Lift every voice, lift every voice. We give thanks. And now I will pass it on to Anthony Prado. Give thanks. Blessings.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for that. I put up a little applause icon for that amazing song. That is such a beautiful song celebrating Juneteenth. And I also got into the Kev, your music you started playing at 10:20 before the service. That I was loving that. Thank you so much. So, and we're going to be hearing from Jennifer Johns very soon here in the service. My name is Anthony Prado. I am your announcer this morning. I'm also a member of the Board of Trustees here at the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. And I welcome all of you. Oakland Center, we make this announcement every week where we teach spiritual principles and practice that nourish us, uplift us, and celebrate oneness with all life. But that's quite a statement for reflection. Just what we can ask ourselves, what uplifts us and what helps us celebrate our oneness with all life. And a special welcome for those of you joining us for the first time. We have a lot of things going on here at the center. If you'd like to be on our emailing list, get a hold of Constance Chapman. She's our administrative coordinator, and her email address is constance@oaklandcsl, that's all one word, oaklandcsl.org. And in order to maintain a sacred atmosphere this morning, I invite you all to please take a moment and make sure your Zoom microphone and your video are muted. Now, at this time in our service, we honor our children. I believe we have a PowerPoint slide with an affirmation and prayer for the children. And there it is. We honor all our youth and children in our community and the world. We love you. We see you. You are Spirit's gift to us. Thank you for being in our lives. And so it is. So I have a few, as always, announcements to share with you this morning. This Wednesday, as our guest speaker for the Wednesday night Oasis, it says surprise, but we do have a name. We're not sure what she's going to talk about. Her name is Reverend Sunshine Michelle Coleman. And check the website. Hopefully there'll be information posted about what she's going to talk about. The meditation is at 6:30 and the service is at 7. I'm trying to think of which church she's affiliated with. It could be Heart and Soul, which is a Science of Mind church in Oakland. Thursday, June 24th at 1 p.m., please join Reverend Sonny Cantrell Smith for an hour of sacred sharing and listening. Sign up on the events page. As you know, Reverend Sonny has given us a few Sunday services here. Yeah, there's information about that. This is another one you can join if you would like. Again, there's information to sign up for it on the events page on our website. Okay, someone said Reverend Sonny had been a practitioner here at the Oakland Center for many years. Good to know that. Friday, June 25th at 7 p.m., the Diversity Circle. To honor Pride Month, the speaker is Reverend Dr. Mark Wilson, speaking on unapologetically Black, unashamedly Christian, and proudly gay. A Black Baptist preacher's journey with pride. Black, Baptist, Christian, and gay are words we rarely hear in the same sentence. Yet these words are real for those whose identities intersect at the corner of race, religion, and sexuality. This diversity circle welcomes participants to take an in-depth look at race and religion in relationship to the LGBTQ+ pride through the lens of a Black gay Baptist preacher. Our conversation on diversity will not only challenge participants to explore how race and racism makes one look at pride quite differently, but also will invite participants to share what pride means when it comes to the identities which are most important to their own social and cultural performance. And a love offering is definitely accepted. East Bay Church of Religious Science is offering 5 summer classes. 2 of the classes are in person and 3 are online. Good, there you have it. Okay. All of them are certified classes and are designed for you to take a leap forward in your spiritual journey. Check out their website. Check out our website or theirs for more information. And good, I wrote down the the website address, but there it is, ebcrs.org/current-classes, and there are the classes listed. Who's teaching them? There's Reverend Francione, our own very own, teaching Beyond Limits in June. So again, go to their website, go to our website if you want more information about that. Okay, this next announcement is something everybody's been waiting to know about and hear about, and this concerns our opening. There is, oh yeah, okay, I'll go to that. Okay, I'll do the reopening, yeah. Okay, we need volunteers for our reopening. As it says on the power slide, contact Zoe DeMuro. Zoe's email address is Zoe DeMuro, just like it says there, all one word, @gmail.com. So we need help for that whole setup and how we're going to bring people in and that. We're also needing volunteers for the audio video team. We're looking for someone with video production skills to work with the AV team for several weeks or longer once we reopen. For more details, contact Constance Chapman. You can call the church, or you can write to constance@oaklandcsl.org. Okay, then this is the announcements I was going to get to. There is a very strong chance, it's kind of an iffy situation at this point, that we could have a soft opening next Sunday. Yes, next Sunday. Constance, who again is our administrative coordinator, strongly recommends watch your emails, the Village News, the website. There's going to be information about that. A reservation system, there may be a reservation system. It could come by email. And the reservation system depends on the compliance numbers as to how many people we can have. There's a high probability we could open, but if we don't, still look at the website and watch the Village News email. We usually get that on Thursday, but Constance said she's going to try to get one out earlier in the week to make the announcement whether we are open or not. So again, we're hoping we can open, but if not, we are going to go back to Zoom, and that's what this announcement could say. So it is a soft opening, and again, I strongly recommend you stay in tune by checking your email, going to the website. If we don't open, it's because of literally technological issues. We're trying to get the AV team up to speed as to how we can broadcast from Facebook and another platform. It's a little complicated, so it's not a done deal. We will have that soft opening next weekend. Again, stay tuned. And lastly, again, check the Village News and our website for all kinds of information of other things we have going on. And then lastly, I'd like to read the vision and mission statement. The vision of Oakland Center for Spiritual Living is to joyfully reveal the one love and oneness of God. We are a welcoming and inclusive spiritual community dedicated to individual transformation and collective growth. Our purpose is to love, inspire, and serve our community, the world, through education, music, prayer, and play. So at this point in the service, I'm going to hand the spotlight over to Dorothy Mendez, who will take us into our sacred space of prayer. Thank you so much, and have a great week.
Good morning. My name is Dorothy Mendez, and I'm a practitioner at the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. And I just want to welcome you all to this magnificent Sunday service on this magnificent day that God has created, and especially for you fathers. I give thanks for the grandfathers, the great-grandfathers, and those of you who have been a father to someone. And even though you're not a father, you are fathered an idea of some sort. So welcome to the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. And today, I have two readings for you. So I ask you to sit back and just contemplate these words. Taking a deep breath if you want, close your eyes if you like. Our first reading is by Ernest Holmes, and it is, God has already done for us in a mechanical way all that God can do. And having been given the ability, we will have to do for ourselves the rest. Ernest Holmes. Our second reading today, we should indeed keep calm in the face of differences and live our lives in the state of inclusion and wonder at the diversity of humanity. That reading was by George Takei. So let us all come together right now, breathing in the love and the light of God, giving thanks for right where we are for this moment, knowing that we are truly in our right and perfect place, giving thanks that we are here because we know that the power and the presence of God guides us, guards us, and protects us. Giving thanks for the victory of our Juneteenth holiday, and giving thanks for Mother Opal, who have helped to move this forward. Giving thanks that we are all created in the likeness and image of God the Father, that we are all one mind, one power, one presence. We are one diverse community, loving, caring for one another, spreading more love, more joy, more peace, more happiness. And knowing that this day that God has created, that we soar through this thing called life. We know that as Reverend Rafe comes to us, brings us words from Spirit, we know that we leave this Zoom call at a higher level than what we came in with. That we take these words being spoken today to help us in our growth as a human on this planet. We give thanks for this day, for this is the day that God created. We give thanks for everyone who has made this service complete in the mind of God. Our technicians, our musicians, we give thanks for everyone who made this service possible. And so I am knowing for each and every one of you, just sit back, relax, let go, and let God. And as I, Dorothy, release this word into the law, knowing that it is done because God always says yes. So I give thanks for you. I give thanks for this day. I give great thanks, knowing that something wonderful has taken place today. Giving thanks that God is all there is, that God is truly our source and our sufficiency in all things. So I release this word into the law, knowing that it cannot return void in any way. I say thank you, Mother, Father, God, for this and for the more. I let go, I let God, and together we say, and so it is. And now I have the pleasure of turning this over to our beloved Jennifer Johns.
Good morning, family.
As Kev did this morning, it is my honor to sing the real national anthem. I believe that as we continue to evolve as Americans, we will appreciate that we are people of many nations, but most importantly, that we will sing mantras that are about lifting every voice and singing and being one, as opposed to bombs bursting in air. Y'all know how I feel about that. Lift every voice and sing until earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmony, harmony, harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise, arise, arise. I as a listening sky. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing this rising sun, this rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on until victory won. Happy Father's Day to you all. I love you guys so much, and I'm so happy to know that soon come we'll be in the same physical space. It is my distinct honor to introduce Reverend Jerry.
Wow, Jennifer, thank you so much. That was so beautiful. It's such a great day of recognition, a month of recognition with Juneteenth and Father's Day and summer solstice and Pride Month. So we are just having the most beautiful, diverse experience. And thank you for bringing that anthem to us in such a lovely way. Today, I have the honor of introducing our guest speaker, Reverend Rafe Ellis. Reverend Rafe is the senior minister serving the Sierra Center for Spiritual Living. He has been an active member of Centers for Spiritual Living since 2003. In service as a licensed religious science practitioner at Centers for Spiritual Living Santa Rosa, Center for Spiritual Awareness West Sacramento, First Church of Religious Science Vallejo, and formerly the senior minister at the Mountainside CSL in Placerville, California. He currently serves the CSL organization as a member of the CSL Events Committee and has previously served as a member and chair of the Diversity Inclusion Commission and the Diversity Inclusion Liaison to the Nominating Council. Reverend Rafe is a Virginia native, though he proudly claims Asheville, North Carolina as his hometown, explaining that Asheville was the first place his soul recognized itself as being at home. From the secular world, Reverend Rafe brings a wealth of experience from his years as a social worker, firefighter, emergency medical technician, and deputy sheriff, as well as a business owner and lapidary artist. He holds a BA in social work and psychology from Warren Wilson College, an MBA with a specialization in organizational development from American Intercontinental University, an MA from the Holmes Institute School of Spiritual Leadership. He has been a licensed Science of Mind practitioner since 2008 and a licensed minister of Centers for Spiritual Living since 2017. Reverend Rafe is an inspirational speaker, a gifted counselor, a master teacher, and lifelong social justice activist. As Reverend Dr. Deborah L. Johnson, founding minister and president of Inner Light Ministries and an instructor at the Holmes Institute, says, Reverend Rafe is one of the most promising ministerial students I have ever had. He is truly someone with a call on his life. His wisdom is profound, his heart an open embrace, and his words cut straight to the chase. He is a true ally in the world of healing and transformation, in his uncompromising stand for oneness. I expect great things out of his career. Reverend Rafe shares his life with Deborah Ellis, his best friend, soulmate, and bride of 15 years, and their two fur children, Taz and Thor. When he's not actively engaged in the duties of being a minister, you can find him in the woods, usually near a body of water with a fishing pole. It is my delight and honor to welcome to the platform Reverend Rafe.
Good morning, Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. I am so honored and thrilled to be with you this morning. I want to invite us all, let's take a collective breath together to bring ourselves into synchronicity with one another. There we go. So I am aware that one of my charges this morning is to recognize and speak to the celebration of Pride Month. And I want to do that couching my talk this morning in the overarching themes that Centers for Spiritual Living offers us as ministers in the movement to use or not use. And this particular month, the theme is the soul's call. And in our teaching symbol, the soul is located in that middle section. It is synonymous with the activity of law. And so it is that the soul's call comes from our beliefs, from our mental thought, from our word, if you will, whether it is spoken aloud or held in the silence of our own thoughts. The soul simply receives the impress of those beliefs and acts upon them exactly as it receives them. And the particular talk title for this morning is, What's Evolution Without Love? Now, I submit to you that the short answer to that question is impossible. That what's evolution without love? It's impossible. Because love is synonymous with consciousness. Love is synonymous with creation, with God. The tendency for us to try in our human form to encapsulate consciousness by one word, I think, is our first challenge to overcome. To understand that we are using finite language to understand an infinite beingness. And so we're never gonna quite get there. I personally really appreciate the approach in the Jewish tradition where there is no name for the divine, because it's a recognition that to name it is to limit the unlimited. And so, for the sake of conversation, for the sake of communication, this morning, I will refer to it as God, as the infinite, as the divine, as love, which are really attributes of it, but in no way completely define it. And so this idea of evolution, let's start there with the recognition that the physical evolves, the spiritual expresses. See, I think sometimes we confuse this idea of evolution with expression. In the physical realm, we can pretty much show a clear path of evolution from the single cell amoeba to what we experience now. And throughout that process of evolution, nothing, and I do mean nothing, in the infinite has evolved. It has unfolded, if you will. It has expressed itself in multiplicity of form and experience, but it hasn't changed a thing about itself. It has always been exactly what it is: infinite, blissfully indefinable, all encompassing, all pervasive, everywhere present. No evolution necessary. But within human form, well, evolution seems to be the path by which this infinite beingness unfolds and expresses itself. We're often in conflict in spiritual community about what we should or should not be talking about in terms of humanity. Some people choose to call that politics. Some people choose to call it social justice. And I want to go back to the 1926 version of the Science of Mind textbook, the initial book that Ernest Holmes wrote. And I believe the initial copyright was actually in 1922. This is what Ernest Holmes said to address this idea of evolving expression in humanity. Man, coming from unity, is both male and female, and has within himself both attributes of reality. In some, the male predominates, in others, the female. We have two distinct types in man and woman, but there are different types. They are different types of one fundamental principle. There is also an intermediate sex, that is, one in which the two attributes seem to be almost equally balanced. The greatest men and women of the ages have belonged to this type, for it is more complete balance between the two, which are really one. Now I'm going to read that again in gender neutral language without prioritizing the male. See how it feels different in your body. People coming from one unity are both female and male, and have within themselves both attributes of reality. In some, the female predominates, in others, the male. We have two distinct types in people that we tend to recognize. But there are types beyond the two of one fundamental principle. There is also an intermediate sex, an intermediate gender identity. They are those in which the two attributes that we identify seem to be almost equally balanced. The greatest people of the ages had belonged to this type, for it is a more complete balance between the two, which are really one. Now, we could rewrite that over and over again in the evolved language that we have today. We could add the words non-binary. We could add the words transgender. We could add the word two-spirited. We could add folks that identify with neither gender. We could talk about sexual orientation, because in Ernest Holmes' quotes, he equates sex and gender as the same. Now, as we have evolved as humans, we have become aware that it's not quite as cut and dried as we once thought it was. And I submit to you that our discomfort talking about politics, talking about race, talking about culture, talking about the LGBTQIA plus community, that our discomfort talking about anything outside of our immediate understanding is the discomfort of our own human refusal to evolve to an expanded experience of what the infinite has always been, infinite. See, this idea that humanity, this marvel of creation, would be limited to this binary concept of man and woman, I submit to you, is as limited as the concepts of right and wrong, good and bad, up and down, more or less. That in fact, to embrace and embody the ends of the spectrum as definitive is to embody duality. And that is not what we're about. Duality says there is separation. Duality says there is division. Oneness calls us to understand a spectrum of expression. A spectrum of expression upon which each point along the spectrum is equally holy, equally perfect, equally complete, equally God, equally valued, and equally deserving of celebration. Just breathe that in. Just breathe that in. That whether you are a Republican under the LGBTQIA plus umbrella, whether you're a Democrat under the QIA 2 plus umbrella, whether you are an independent, whether you're liberal, whether you're conservative, whether you're Black, whether you're white, whether you're Asian, whatever your culture is, that the intersectionality beyond the label, the true intersectionality that we all share is oneness, not sameness, that creation is far more brilliant than to bore itself with replication. And that's where sameness lives, folks. Sameness is the activity of replication. The only place where I see that replication is valid is on the assembly line of products that we use. So that every one of us that purchases a vehicle by a specific label, right? I drive an F-150. I think it's fair that everybody who purchases a 2015 F-150 purchases a vehicle that is built, that is manufactured, that is imagined, that operates and lasts the same way. But even that has variances. Because depending on how I drive mine and how you drive yours will depend on the wear and tear of the parts. And so they won't be exactly the same in terms of that particular vehicle's evolution once it's off the assembly line. And so why? We have to ask ourselves, why do we even want people off of an assembly line? Why do we want sameness in people? And I think it goes to our ego. And let me be really clear. I love my ego. And I invite you to embrace your ego with all of the love that you have ever loved with, because you would not be here without it. The ego is a brilliant part of creation. There was a time when the hardwiring of our ego for physical survival was more necessary than it is today. The question I think we have to resolve and reconcile, and let's be clear, reconcile means to bring into harmony with. And so I think the question we have to reconcile is the evolution of our ego, not whether or not we have one. Too many people have this idea that you can actually get rid of your ego and still function as a human being. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. And it also says, and I'm just going to call this out, to say that we shouldn't have an ego is to say that creation failed, that it made a mistake. I can't get next to that. But what I can get next to is that being part of the human process, we have an opportunity for the ego to evolve, and to evolve from love, in love, toward a greater expression of love. How do we do that? Well, last week, my talk was about lean into the discomfort. And so I think the first thing that we have to do is be willing to lean into the discomfort of our own belief systems, to lean into to our own limitations, if you will. Because the only thing that limits us is our use of infinite consciousness. And oh my, oh my, oh my, how we love to argue for our limitations. We dig our heels in that we're right, which means somebody else has to be wrong. And I always come back to what part of God is wrong? What part of God do we want to extinguish? And it's interesting to me that we tend in this human realm to lean toward extinguishing newness in favor of replicating pastness, rather than venturing through the portal of our discomfort to a new experience of creation. Now, as a female to male transgender man married to a mixed race African American and British woman, I know a little bit about this dance. And while I can share all of my experience with you, it will change nothing for you. You being willing to dive into evolution of your own thoughts, evolution of your own beliefs will change you. See, that phrase, change your thinking, change your life, is true. But I can't do it for you. I can change my thinking all day long. It will change nothing in your thinking, because you are the only thinker in your mind. And that's that place of responsibility that we all are invited to embody, to take absolute responsibility for what is outpicturing in our lives as wholly and exclusively our responsibility. Now, I am not talking about situations and events on planet Earth. I'm not talking about weather. We don't have the power to control hurricanes and tornadoes and earthquakes. That's natural law unfolding. And natural law is just that. It's natural law. It's going to do what natural law does. I remember several years ago when I was back in Asheville, North Carolina to bury my son, was sitting in the Center for Spiritual Living, Asheville, and there was a hurricane that was active on the East Coast, and Reverend Barbara was giving the talk that day, and she referenced how many people that a number of people had emailed her asking her to pray that the hurricane stops. Now, I had an invested interest because whether or not I was going to be able to catch my flight to come back to California really depended on what that hurricane was doing. And what she said was, I will not pray that the hurricane stops, because that's not my job. But what I will pray for is that divine intelligence is active in everyone, that everyone is guided by that divine intelligence to know exactly how to navigate their experience with the hurricane. I haven't forgotten that, because what that helped me anchor back into is that our use of consciousness is about experience. Because if we understand the infinite, and I'm going to begin to wrap up with this, if we understand the infinite, you can't add anything to it. Right? You cannot add more infinite to infinite. It's already infinite. And so when I understood that, I began to understand that what the infinite can expand is its experience of itself. It doesn't make more of itself. It expands its experience of itself through the multiplicity of creation and form. And I think when we lean into that, we open ourselves to celebrate the multiplicity of creation and people. to where the limited idea of gender binary understanding becomes quite useless. And we open ourselves to celebrate every expression, that we literally cast off the limitations of our previous understanding, of our previous socialization. And I invite you this week to go to nature for evidence of evolution. To every time you hear a bird, every time you see a bird, to allow yourself to cognitively understand that you are looking at a dinosaur that loved its presence on Earth enough to evolve. See, we tend to think that dinosaurs are extinct. They're not. They're at our bird feeders every day. They fill us with joy with their song every day. Each of us is a choice. We can be the pterodactyl that is no longer here. Or we can be the bird that loved enough, that trusted creation enough to evolve our physical form to be present in what is. Let's take this into prayer. And so with this breath, I recognize, I recognize, bring to my mind again the truth that there is only one infinite, ever-present being. That it is infinite, that it has always been, that it is now, and it is into eternity. That it is whole, perfect, and complete within itself, lacking nothing. That it is the ever-changing, changeless source and substance of all creation. And knowing this to be true, I know with equal certainty that I am that informed. That I know that it creates out of itself, by itself, to be itself, so I must be it. Individualized. A desire in the very heart of Creator to expand its experience itself as me. And what is true of me is true of all life. And so everyone within and beyond the sound of my voice, everything in physical form and everything surrounding it, equally the divine, expressing itself in the amazing multiplicity of diversity. And so I speak my word this morning, speaking in the first person, I am the one voice that speaks itself into creation. That every human mind is opened and lifted up to a higher experience of itself. That there is an awareness within the human experience that every time we look into the eyes of another, it is God looking through the eyes of God into the eyes of God, back at the gods, because there's only one thing here. That love expresses itself, that love gives to itself, that love meets itself with celebration. So everything unlike that must bubble to the top to be reconciled, to be embraced and transformed in truth. God is all there is. that love is its nature, and that we are each that. And so I celebrate. I celebrate the tenacity, the bravery, the courage of every Marsha P. Johnson that dared to say enough is enough. I celebrate the freedom of Juneteenth that is still evolving into reality. I celebrate that each and every one of us is the answered prayer of an ancestor. And I celebrate that what we hold in consciousness becomes the answered prayer of our descendants. And I say yes. I say yes to living that celebration, to living oneness, palpable, experiential, celebrating every diverse expression of God. The same excited, unmitigated, holy wow. So I let go, knowing that the word spoken is the word made manifest. I let go. Nothing more to do than to release and step into an experience of what is. So I do just that. And I invite you right where you are. If these words of the infinite have resonated within you, if there is a divine yes nudging itself into experience as the expression of you, that you join me, claim these words as your own, as we say together. And so it is. Thank you for having me. I adore you.
So, remaining in the consciousness of the divine yes that Reverend Rafe has so eloquently spoken of, we continue our celebration this day, celebrating our nonprofit partner for this month, Emeryville Citizens Assistance Program. The program's mission is to provide food, housing, furnishing, care, and compassion to those in need in Emeryville, California, and the surrounding Bay Area communities. And for our planet, Mother Earth, gratitude for her beauty and resilience, and our increasingly mindfulness and stewardship of her. Blessing our youth and the youth of the world, knowing they are guided by the loving mind and heart of spirit. And blessing those in service, those who are creating a world that works for everyone. And continuing on in our prayer, we know love, comfort, and healing for all those impacted by challenges in whatever form. For our beloved Judith Roberts, Evelyn Denise King, Michael and Barbara Tompkins, Tina Marie Scott, Chantal and Allison's mother, Leanna, and for Barbara Williams. And we continue to hold in our hearts and prayers those families experiencing loss of any kind. And for continued peace and comfort for our beloved Reverend Jeff and his loved ones, including our entire village, as we continue to know safe passage and divine guidance for Reverend Jeff and for all. And I invite you now to take a moment to speak the name or names of anyone on your heart in need of a prayer this day. So as the names continue to be spoken, And as we continue to remain in the consciousness of this power and presence of the one perfect life, the life of God, I am so grateful for the spoken words today. I'm so grateful for the words that continue to be spoken, knowing that we are uplifted in consciousness as we move throughout our day and into our week with more peace and love in our hearts. And as I let these words go into that universal law of mind, I know we continue to be supported by a God that knows only good. As we continue to accept the good, I just let it be. And please join me in saying, and so it is. So I wanted to end our time right now with a quote from Scott Aubrey that came across my desk today. It is befitting that Father's Day falls on summer on summer solstice this year. One meaning of father is to give rise to. Yes, of course. Our fathers have given rise to life, to our life. And the sun every morning gives rise to a new day. So, gratitude for Reverend Rafe for his wisdom and his wise and wonderful words, for sharing his knowledge with us, for opening us up to a greater understanding of our own infinite consciousness. We are truly blessed. So now is our conscious giving time. We can still continue to give to our spiritual center. And I'm so grateful for the givingness of spirit and how it shows up in our life and our experience. So our giving affirmation should be coming up shortly. And I just want to appreciate everyone for any additional giving, because that giving is what is helping us through this time of zooming into our natural setting back into our spiritual community. So thank you in advance for your givingness. If we don't have a slide, as you know, on our website, there is a button that you can press to donate or to give a little bit more as the abundance of the universe comes toward you and to you and through you. We welcome more into our spiritual community. So please join me now in sharing our affirmation. The gift I give is God in action. It does good work in the world and blesses all of creation. And so it is. I'd like to take this moment now to turn our time back over to our amazing pulpit assistant and prayer partner of our community, Dorothy Mendez. Thank you, Dorothy.
Thank you, Reverend Jerry. What a wonderful, wonderful Sunday. And thank you, Reverend Ray, for those encouraging words. I won't look at birds. I will look at birds a little different now, even when they poop on my patio. They're just awesome. I have beautiful birds all on my back. I'm very fortunate. One of the fortunate things that we practitioners are able to do for our community, and that is the power of prayer. And if you would like prayer this afternoon after service, our beloved practitioner, Zoe Demure, will be opening the prayer room. So you may stay on and have prayer with the practitioner after service. The other gift that we have to give for you is that practitioners are available to pray with you. There are lists on our website, oaklandcsl.org. There are a list of practitioners who are willing to do a 30-minute prayer session with you. But if you want a longer session, there are other practitioners that are on the website that are available for prayer as well. So take advantage of us. This is what we're here for. We're here for you not to take home a problem or walk around disturbed about something. Call a practitioner. We can help you. We can help you and know the truth for you. So let us prepare for our affirmation for the week and use this affirmation and see how your life begins to change. Just every day either before you go to bed or when you get up, write this affirmation down and use it. And then look at the difference that takes place in your life. So let us come together and say this loving affirmation together. I move forward in my life from a place of love. And so it is. Whoa. And so now I will turn it over to our beloved Kev Choice.
Wow, thank you, thank you. Thank you for a beautiful service, beautiful prayers, beautiful words, beautiful message. Such a blessing to be in this space. And hopefully I look forward to being in person with you soon. That just sounds so powerful. Looking forward to that. I've started doing some gigs in person with live audiences, and I must say that the energy is so welcome and so refreshing. It's like a collective breath. Being able to hug each other, being able to greet each other, look each other in each other's eyes. I'm looking forward to that. It will be the Sunday that I'm not there next Sunday, but that's okay. I'll still be. The doors are open. I'll be present. So we can turn on our cameras one more time and wave at somebody, smile at someone, breathe into the energy of the room as we sing our closing song. Take a breath. Give thanks. My last Zoom performance. I'm praying that into existence right now. Thank you, God.
All right.